Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's review of last week's watch list. That's a little odd to say, but anyway, last week on my watch list I had for inside month I had American Airlines, eBay, Google, Microsoft, and Starbucks, and inside weeks I had Cat, Lowe's, and Walmart. So let's see how they did. Let's start off with American Airlines. And we were looking for an inside month. You see we broke the inside month, so it triggered. The trigger was 2482. Target was 2609. It hit 2604. This is one of the reasons why I usually sell just a little bit short of target, because sometimes it gets right to target. That doesn't mean it won't come back. If you didn't get stopped out yet, it may come back. Maybe tomorrow it might come up and hit that target. We don't know that. But when I get close to target, I take it. I did not trade this one, so there was nothing for me to make a decision on here. Just didn't catch the alert, or I didn't like the way the market was acting, or something. I don't know. I can't go back and explain why I didn't take the trade. I just didn't take it. Airlines aren't one of my favorites to begin with, so maybe that was why. But eBay was the next one, and trigger was 62.69 with a target of 65.11. It broke that. It hit 65.89. I did trade this one. I got in at my target or my trigger. I think I sold just before the target. I don't remember what my percentage was, but it was a nice win. So I did take that one. And let me show you something. Well, and I don't know if this one will illustrate it properly, but let me show you. This is the weekly chart. This one here is a daily. 60, 30, 15, and 5. And multiple time frame analysis is important. This here, these bars here, these little boxes show if everything's in time frame continuity. So I probably could do away with all 6 of these and just have one chart here with this, but I like to see the charts. For example, if the daily is a 2 down, let's say this one here. This here was a 2 down, but it's green. It'll show green in this box, even though it's a 2 down. That kind of changes my decision making. Even though it's green, it's still a 2 down for the day. I might still enter it, but I won't be as aggressive with it. So I want to see the chart. That's why I, same thing with this one here. This is a 2 down, but it's green. This one here, 2 down, but green. Although that is, it's a pretty bullish candle. Let me see if there's another one here. It's 2 down and green. This one here is 2 down and green. Still pretty bullish candle. But you may have something that looks kind of like a gravestone doji that it could be green, but it closed way at the bottom of the candle. A gravestone doji would be something like this. Although, if I remember right, gravestone has to be at the top of a trend. But anyway, just say for example, this could be green and be a 2 up, or I mean a 2 down, but be green. But that's a lot different than, let's say, this one here being a 2 down and green, because this one here closed near the top of the candle. That changes everything. This one, the bulls were in charge at the end of this candle to close of this candle. This one here, nobody was in charge. It was kind of a draw right here. If anything, the bears may have been in charge because they drove it right back down towards the end of the candle. So this candle, let's just say it's a 2. We don't, obviously it's not a 2, but let's just assume it's a 2. It doesn't matter. This could be a 2 down. If the previous candle closed here, the low of the previous candle was here, this would be a 2 down. So let's assume this is a 2 down. This is a lot more bearish of a, even if this is green, let's say it closed slightly higher than open, but it's still, an ugly looking candle. It would be more of a bearish candle than this one here would be. So that's why I like to see, even though both of those would show green box over here, I like to see the actual candle. So I do look at these before I enter. I take a glance at all these and see kind of where they are. I know if I pull up eBay and it's inside on the day, or it's an ugly red candle on the day, and I get an alert on maybe the 15 to go long, I'm probably not going to get in because I don't like this. I don't like this candle. It may be green, but it may be, a shooting star. We call those shooters. So I just like to see all time frames and not just rely on these check boxes. So eBay, we went over that and we covered that one. It hit its target, hit its trigger, hit its target. So we're good there. Google. Google is still in play, and it's still a good candidate. I left it on my watch list. Actually, I didn't leave it on my watch list this week, but it's still definitely a good trade. I don't want to hold it that long. It's a little bit too rich for my liking. I'm a little bit more conservative. I don't like going in for that much money. I did trade it Friday. I made about 10% on it. I think the options were like $1,400 a piece. You may have to hold this one for a week or two for it to hit target. I don't know. I'm not comfortable holding that much exposure overnight. So I did enter. We come back to here. I entered when it broke, and I don't believe I entered right away. In fact, I know I didn't. And that's another thing. Let me just move this over a little bit. It broke right here on this candle on the 30, which was this candle here on the 5. I believe I entered on the 5. If I entered on the 30, I would have had to sit through all this. I entered on here. I got out. I didn't really have a target. I did have a dynamic hiding pivot, which I use here, and it did get close. Let me see where. I think I actually sold right about here. I think I got in shortly after it popped above it, and I think I got out just before this. So it was a decent win. I use these pivots. I know pure straters don't like pivot. Well, they like pivots because they like to use them against the other guy. But these pivots seem to be pretty accurate. You see what happened here. It happens often. You come over. You'll see on other charts. You'll see it likes to come up. You see here it bounced. That's actually not. That's my inside month line. So that's not a pivot. But you'll see they come up. They like to come up and stop right at pivots. So I sold right about here. So that was my Google trade. My target was way up here. 24.30 I think was the target. So my target was actually way up here. Yeah, 24.31. So I didn't get anywhere near my target. But you can imagine I got in here and got 10% from here to here. It was about $140 roughly. You can imagine if that runs all the way to here, that same option call, obviously won't be the same call because it expired Friday. But if you bought this week's expiration and it runs up to here, you're probably looking at 400% or 500%. You're probably looking at this option call tomorrow, this week's expiration tomorrow to buy, let's say a 24.30 expiration or 24.30 strike on this week's expiration. You're probably looking at maybe $3,000, $4,000 for one contract. You could probably make at least 100%, probably 200%. So you can potentially make $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 on this move if it plays out. I just don't like being that aggressive. I don't like having that much money on the table. So For that reason, I'm probably done trading this one, but I think it's still a good candidate. Let's go back over here, Microsoft, and I'm just going right off of this. This is a screenshot of my my watch list from last week. So Microsoft next. I don't believe I didn't trade Microsoft. It didn't trigger. Microsoft didn't trigger. I probably would have traded it if it did, but it did not trigger, so it was a no play. Starbucks. I did not trade Starbucks. It didn't trigger, so that was another no play. So that's it for the inside month. Now these are still in play because we have the rest of the month on these. I put these back on this week's watch list. So all these are still on this week's watch list. Actually, I took Google off because I'm just not going to trade it. It's still a good candidate. I took eBay off because it already hit its target, and for me that's a done deal. It's over. I took Starbucks off for some reason. I don't know what it was, but I took Starbucks off. We have a double inside month. Well, the month isn't over yet, so it's not a double inside month yet. But this still could come back up. So let's look at the weekly from last week. I had CAT. I did not trade it. I wish I would have. I don't know why I didn't. May have been in a meeting or something when the alert went off and just didn't catch it. It triggered here at 243.37. First target was 245.54. It hit that. Hit the second target. Had a nice over $3 run after the trigger hit. So that was a good trade. Lowe's did not trigger, so no trade there. And Walmart did not trigger, so no trade there. So the only one you could say may have been a loser was American, only because it just missed its target by 5 cents, 6 cents, whatever it was. 5 cents. Missed the target by 5 cents. If I would have traded this, I would have been out there anyway. I probably would have sold, 5 to 10 cents before my target. So I would have likely have made money on this one had I traded it. But still, it didn't hit target, so we're going to consider it a loss. Even though, you still had a, nice little over $1 move. eBay was a definite winner. Google still in play. Microsoft hasn't triggered yet, so still in play. Starbucks hasn't triggered yet, still in play. And really, it's hard to call American a loss because it's still in play. I mean, we're way down here now. We did close the week with a shooter, so the more likely scenario is we're going to see some more pullback on it. So that's why I'm calling it a loss. It could re-trigger again and come up and break it. We may open tomorrow. We may come down. We may even come down and hit our magnitude here at the bottom of this candle. And that may happen tomorrow, Tuesday, and then Wednesday it might bounce back up and start its run back up. And this is a monthly chart, so we have all month for it. I would probably still leave this line on here and set an alert for it. If it does break above it again, you could try getting back in it again, but I would keep a real tight stop on it. Maybe put a trailing stop, pretty tight stop, because this play isn't as convincing as it was last week. It already tried to reach that and it didn't do it. The bears took over and drove it back down. So that for that reason, it's not as convincing to me. So that's pretty much the review of this week's watch list. We go back to, that's the monthly charts. We look at the weekly. Caterpillar was a definite winner. Lowe's did not trigger, and Walmart did not trigger. So I'd call it 1-0 on the weekly, and I think it was 1-1 on the monthly, with Google still in play. Microsoft and Starbucks struggled on the monthly. Starbucks, you see, we ended up with a 3, red 3, which isn't very convincing, and Microsoft red 2, although it is a Momo hammer, it's still red. But we may come up and break this and trigger this week. It's not an inside week, but it could be a 2-2-2 reversal. So I'm going to leave my alert on here on this one. I'm not going to put it on this week's watch list. I'll do that video after this. I'm not going to put it on this week's watch list, but I would still keep an eye on it, because your entry would be a break above the high of this candle, which would be 251.65. A break over 251.65 will oops. A break over 251.65. And if you wonder how I did that, I know I've showed it before, but you click once and you see it'll snap to whatever the recent price level was there. Right there it snapped to the high, there it snapped to the open, there it snapped to the close. Down here it'll snap to the low. It works kind of like a magnet. That way you don't have to be exactly on it. The way you do that is if you go up here in the settings, and I know I've showed this in other videos, snap drawings to OHLC, open, high, low, close. So it'll work like a magnet. When you get close to it, it'll lock it onto that. You just click it again second time and it puts it on there. So let me go in here and just generically put 2-2-2 up weekly and 251.65 2-2-2 up weekly, and I'll set an alert for it. So I'm not going to put this on this week's watch list. I don't really alert or put 2-2 reversals on my watch list, only because I really like trading the inside bars better, and the inside bars, there's enough of them to fill my watch list, so I don't generally even look for these. But just because, if we get a break over this tomorrow, our magnitude is going to be right here. So you're looking at $1.30 magnitude for if you're wanting to enter on this. Then you could enter it again when it breaks here, or if you want, you can stay in here. Or maybe let's say you bought 5 contracts here. You hit here, maybe sell 3 of them, hold the other 2, and once you break this, add to those 2, and then just keep moving your stop up as you go. So that's another way to trade that. But thanks for watching. That's this week's review of last week's watch list. I'm going to go ahead and record my new video for this week's watch list. So I'll see you in a little bit. Thanks for watching. Bye.